Welcome, everyone. We have a very special guest today, Mindy McManus, founder of Mindy's Executive Coaching and best-selling author, speaking to us about her upcoming book, How Do I Speak God's Word?
Mhm.
Welcome. Mindy.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate you having me on.
I am so looking forward to our just sharing such powerful message to the world. Tell me,
Mhm.
what was the inspiration to take action?
Sure. Well, God told me. So that's usually my inspiration to take action. I tend to be very obedient. I had been writing this book in my head for the past 5 years
Mm.
and just never had the time to sit down and write it. And this past summer, God gave me a lot of energy to get different projects done. And I coined the phrase God zoomies because I'm a dog person. And when your dog just like gets up and runs around and goes really, really fast, we call it zoomies. So I call it God zoomies. So he gave me God zoomies to write the book. He gave me God zoomies for other projects that I was working on. And it was just where, creativity and everything just flowed. And so that was the impetus. It was God was like, okay, it's time to start writing. And we did. We wrote it
That
together.
is so true. You know, once the message is ready, it arrives.
Mhm.
You and I have collaborated lots, and we know that when the time comes, it's almost hard to describe where the energy comes from, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm,
then it goes away. Like, don't you find sometimes you read what you've written almost for the first time because it was such a download, it was such a
mhm,
channeling
mhm.
of the message
Yeah.
that you don't get an opportunity to reflect on it until after
Mhm,
the fact. Now, I love the fact that you are bringing the word of our creator and empathy and faith and trust and all those incredible things that we can only pray to witness
mhm,
to leadership.
mhm,
And it's something that up until recently, you did not, back to the politics, religion, and, intimacy, right? You just do
mhm.
not discuss these in public. Well, faith and leadership are so intertwined, your core value system. What has been your experience in the
Mhm,
C-suite and in leadership now?
mhm.
What has the attitude shifted?
Well, it's interesting because God just has always brought me Christians, people that are Christians but maybe lukewarm, just in my client base, not even saying I'm a Christian coach. But
Mhm.
he's just brought me the right people. And with everybody that I coach, I always ask them what their faith is because we like to do the 10 pillars of a balanced life. And
Mhm.
one of it's faith. And I always like to ask them if they don't mind me bringing the Bible into our coaching. And most of them are super happy about it. I actually have never had anyone say no.
Wow.
And that's their time. And they're actually really happy because they want that. And people haven't said anything about their faith. Everybody's been so quiet. I just had somebody that I worked with for many, many years, very well renowned physician, that said that because I became open with my faith, he is now open with his faith. And
That's
now
right.
now he doesn't care what anybody thinks. He only cares what God thinks. And so that is just so powerful. And that's why this book is so important because when my husband saw the life that I had with God and how God worked in me, he gave his life over to the Lord. He was an atheist. And I didn't realize he was that much of an atheist until he just passed 5 weeks ago. But if sharing my life with people and being vulnerable, one
Mhm.
helps them to lead themselves, lead others, and lead with Jesus. How amazing is that? And if them getting to see my life changes their life, that's what God wants me to do. That's why he wanted me to speak his word. So that we can change the world and feed them. And that's really my goal that God has put in my head, is feeding people both spiritually, physically, and mentally. So how do we help people with everything, making sure people are fed, they have enough food, making sure they have Bibles so they can read the word every day and get their spiritual food. And also, mentally, just making sure that they have what they need mentally to physically move through this world. And
Yeah,
that
and
comes from the spirituality, though, too.
yeah, I like what you just said, because a lot of the consumption not quite conspicuous, but the immersion and consumption into, be it social media, gaming, shopping, like anything that that you use to soothe is really nurturing. Like you are trying desperately to nurture yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and I love that, like the word in good intentionality and, you know trust is paramount to the
Mm-hmm.
nurturing of your mind, and therefore your body, therefore your spirit, right?
Right.
Now, you and I have been exchanging a lot of material, um, leading up to this book, but also in leading, Powerful Women Today, and the WEFM, and all of our collaboration, Prosperous Living, all of our collaborations. And in one of the documents that you sent to me, there was a question that one of your mentors and advisors posed to you, and I've repeated it since. And when I repeated it as a storytelling, like I came across this question, and it just like wow, and everybody's gotten the same reaction. And the question is, what brought you to the foot of the cross?
Yeah.
Could you share with us the shift?
Yeah. Well, my shift was very easy. When you're on the table and you're about to have surgery because your body's about to fail, because you're septic, because you've had your appendix leaking into your system for 2 weeks. And then I'm in Cozumel, Mexico. And so they're prepping the surgical room to give surgery to me. And I'm like, wait a minute, I can be life flighted. They're like, you're going to be dead in 2 hours. We need to get that out of you now. And at that very moment, God came down and just wrapped his arms around me. And I got to see my entire life flash before my eyes. And I just went, okay, God, I'm ready. I was so ready to go. I was so ready. And when I was in surgery, God took me to heaven. God showed me around and showed me how wonderful it was. I got to walk with Jesus and talk with him. I don't remember the details of the conversations, but I remember the visuals. I remember hearing his voice. I remember him telling me that I had to go back to earth.
Mhm.
And I was like, no, because once you're in heaven,
Lovely. Yeah, of course. Of
you
course.
don't ever want to come back. Nothing else matters, because in this life, you know how you get that hole in your body, and everybody's trying to fill it, and it's not until we find Jesus that that hole is filled.
Mhm.
Well, when we go to heaven, we're the missing piece.
Wow.
We're the missing piece.
We are the
So I've had to go through a lot to even overcome having to come back here. And so I am just obedient now. I am not supposed to be here. And so I follow what God says, because I've been to heaven, I've walked with God, and I'm continuing to walk with him down here on earth, because
well,
he's got a purpose for me, and that is to speak his word all around the world.
and I can tell you, as I said, we are collaborators, and it is an absolute honor to have PwC Publishing be your publisher and your champion, to bring about not just a book, but a
Mm-hmm.
platform for you to really touch as many people that are ready to receive
Mm-hmm.
a greater purpose and a greater mission.
Yeah.
And, it happens that you are Christian. It happens that I am Christian within the Judeo Christian faith, and or tradition. But it does. is for everyone.
Mhm.
It is God speaks, your God, your creator, speaks to
Yeah.
you every day. And
Yeah.
it's just a matter of listening.
But I'll tell you this, Carolina, the devil is afraid of this book coming out. He has done everything that he can to try to stop this book from moving forward. And
Wow.
look at where we are today by the grace of God. We have shown up and we are here today, regardless of the hurdles that the enemy tried to send on us, because I know this book is going to change so many people's lives because of how the devil has attacked me.
You know, it's easy to hear someone's words and not understand them, or perhaps not understand the context, or not believe, as simple as that, right? All we ask is that you open your mind and you open your heart
Mhm.
and consider the possibilities of
Absolutely.
just walking with faith.
Hmm.
And I have to tell you, you and I, and many of our colleagues that we are in the mentorship and thought leadership and in the good, positive, life business. It is hard because we don't always wake up like that. There's days that we are on the floor in a fetal position, going like, I can't do this, right?
That's why we have Jesus. I was in that position this morning, calling out to Jesus because I am grieving my husband very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because only Jesus and God can lift me up and move me forward. And I'm working with God on creating how to lead through grief because I need to build that for myself. And if I need that, then I want to be able to share that with people too. So that's my next book.
And that's coming, yes. And we're so excited, and we're building an entire ecosystem around both.
Yes.
Speaking, and by speaking God's words, is not so much that you are evangelizing.
Right.
You're speaking God's words in that you are trusting that anything you say has a greater purpose and
Mm-hmm.
it's got a greater mission. And
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter what you're saying. You could be giving someone direction to the supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
But when you say it with the grace of God, you're also
Yes.
wishing them a safe journey. You're wishing them, a healthy bounty. Is
Right.
more expansive than just say, oh, verse this, that says the. No,
Right.
it is about integration, and it's about energy and frequency
Yeah.
and intention.
We don't bless people the way that we should. So
Yeah.
when I leave someone's presence, I like to say, God bless you, or have
Yeah.
a blessed day, because that's my intentionality coming on people, because it's the power of our words.
Yeah.
Like even talking to ourselves can change ourselves. And we've got a whole nother program on the power of words and how it's so important, the words that we speak, which I also went back and read because it was so important during my time of grief to just go back and read some of the things that I've written for other people that is now hitting me differently now because I'm in
That's what I meant when I
a
asked you.
place.
Do you find that, because you and I are very prolific thought leaders. And, just going back and reading your own words, that's the power of journaling to some
Yeah.
degree, right? So, Mindy, it is a pleasure. I cannot wait to begin the journey of your book, and I am honored and humbled and appreciate your trust.
Hmm.
And I hope that it reaches all of the hands and hearts and minds that are in lives that is meant to touch. So
Absolutely, me
thank
too.
Thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
me today, and we'll put all the information on how you can do early registration and do, pre-ordering and join Mindy's community of practice at our very own PWT network.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, and until next time, bye.
Thank you.